Ready to dive into the world of cryptocurrency. Today, we're going to equip you with the knowledge you need to navigate this exciting, sometimes confusing landscape.
And we've got a great guide for this. We're diving into a conversation with Adil Patel,
Okay.
the mastermind behind Mudrex, one of India's leading crypto platforms.
Now, you might be thinking, crypto, isn't that just a roller coaster for your money?
Right, that's a common misconception. What's interesting is that Adil frames crypto as something much bigger. He compares it to the early days of the internet.
Okay, I see where he's going with this.
Yeah.
Back in the 90s, the internet was this new frontier.
Right.
Full of potential, but also a lot of skepticism. Not everyone understood it, let alone invested in it.
Exactly. And those who did invest early often saw incredible returns. Think Amazon, Google, even Apple. They were all navigating uncharted territory. Adil believes crypto could offer similar opportunities.
So it's not just about throwing money at Bitcoin and hoping for the best.
Not at all. In fact, when asked about where to begin, Adil suggests starting small, even with just 5,000 rupees.
5,000 rupees. That's surprisingly accessible. It's less about making a huge splash and more about dipping your toes in, getting a feel for the market before diving into the deep end.
Precisely. He emphasizes learning over large initial investments. He compares it to learning a new skill. You wouldn't expect to become a master chef overnight, would you? It takes time, practice, and a willingness to learn from your mistakes.
Makes sense. So you've dipped your toes in with your 5,000 rupees. What's next on Adul's crypto starter pack?
Well, instead of putting all your eggs in one basket, Adul is a big advocate for building a diversified crypto portfolio. But he doesn't just throw darts at a board.
Right.
He breaks down the crypto market into categories, much like the stock market has sectors.
So just like you'd have tech stocks or energy stocks, you've got different categories within the crypto world.
Exactly.
I'm curious, what are some of the major categories Adul identifies?
He starts with what he calls the foundation. Layer 1 platforms. These are the bedrock of the crypto ecosystem.
Yeah.
Think of them like operating systems, like iOS or Android. Ethereum and Solana are prime examples.
Okay, so Ethereum and Solana are like the operating systems of the crypto world. What kind of applications are we talking about here? What runs on these platforms?
That's where things get really interesting. You've got everything from decentralized finance,
Okay.
or DeFi for short, which is all about recreating traditional financial services like lending and borrowing, but without the middleman, to NFTs, which have taken the art world by storm,
Right.
and even play-to-earn gaming,
Wow.
where you can earn crypto by,
Right.
you guessed it,
Yeah.
playing games.
Wow. It's amazing how this technology is disrupting so many industries. It really does feel like the early days of the internet when people were still figuring out all the possibilities.
It absolutely does. And just like the internet evolved, with new applications and platforms emerging all the time, the crypto space is constantly evolving too.
Yeah.
But Adil doesn't stop at layer 1s. He also dives into what he calls infrastructure projects.
Infrastructure projects. In the context of crypto, what does that even mean?
Think of it this way. For the crypto ecosystem to function,
Okay.
it needs essential services like data storage, security protocols, and interoperability solutions.
Right. Just like any digital ecosystem, you need that backbone to keep everything running smoothly.
Exactly. These infrastructure projects provide that crucial backbone.
Okay.
A good analogy would be cloud computing services, like Amazon Web Services or Google Cloud.
Right.
They're not flashy consumer-facing products,
Yeah.
but they're the unsung heroes powering countless applications behind the scenes.
So you've got the foundations, the layer 1 platforms, and the essential services, the infrastructure projects. What other crypto categories is Adul excited about?
He's particularly interested in the potential of artificial intelligence, or AI, within the crypto space. He sees blockchain technology as a game changer for how we develop and deploy AI algorithms.
I've heard a bit about this. Is it about creating more transparent and decentralized AI systems?
That's part of it. Imagine a future where instead of relying on centralized tech giants, we have AI models that are owned and governed by a distributed network, ensuring fairness, transparency, and accessibility.
That's a powerful concept. But I have to admit, it's not all serious business in the crypto world, is it? Adul also mentioned something about meme coins.
Ah, yes, meme coins. Even a seasoned investor like Adul enjoys dabbling in them occasionally. He sees them as a fun, almost social aspect of the crypto space.
Okay.
He told a funny story about how he once used Dogecoin as a conversation starter with a cab driver who had no idea about Bitcoin or Ethereum.
I love that. It just goes to show that crypto can be a conversation starter, a
Right.
way to connect with people from all walks of life. But let's be real, meme coins are more about speculation and community hype than serious investing, right?
Absolutely. Abdul acknowledges that they're highly volatile and advises against putting significant capital into them. He compares it to having a bit of fun money set aside for entertainment.
Right.
You might win some, you might lose some.
Yeah. But it shouldn't make or break your portfolio.
That's a healthy way to look at it. Speaking of portfolios, Abdul shared that a whopping 95% of his own net worth is invested in crypto. That's a bold move, to say the least. How does he approach allocating such a substantial amount of capital within the crypto space?
It's a fascinating strategy. And while most people aren't comfortable putting all their eggs in one basket,
Right.
there are valuable lessons to be learned from Abdul's approach. He allocates a significant portion,
Okay.
60%,
Okay.
to what he calls blue chip cryptocurrencies.
Blue chip, like the reliable, established companies in the stock market.
Exactly. For Abdul, Bitcoin and Ethereum are the blue chip cryptocurrencies. He sees them as the foundation of his portfolio, providing a sense of stability and long-term growth potential.
So those are his core holdings. What about the remaining 40%?
That's where his strategic bets come into play. He allocates 30% to what he calls sectorial bets, investing in categories he believes will outperform the broader market. So he's looking for those hidden gems, the up-and-coming sectors within the crypto world that have the potential to explode in value.
You got it.
Yeah.
He's basically applying the same principles of diversification and strategic allocation that you would in the traditional stock market to the crypto space. And as for the remaining 10%, well, remember those meme coins?
Uh-huh. You don't mean.
You know, Adel, he allocates a tiny sliver of his portfolio,
Right.
just 10%,
Yeah.
to those fun, speculative bets.
I love that he doesn't shy away from having a little fun with it. It's a good reminder that investing doesn't always have to be so serious. But let's be real, everyone wants to know about returns. Bitcoin, for example, has seen some pretty impressive growth over the years.
Right.
Edel mentioned a 45% compound annual growth rate over the past 5 years.
He did mention that, but he's also quick to point out that past performance is not indicative of future results.
Right.
It's a cliche for a reason. The crypto market is still relatively young and incredibly volatile.
So while those high returns are tempting, it's important to have realistic expectations and a long-term mindset.
Exactly. Edel emphasizes that investing in crypto is not a get-rich-quick scheme.
Okay.
It's about understanding the technology, believing in its long-term potential, and accepting the inherent volatility along the way.
It's like riding a roller coaster. There will be ups and downs,
Yeah.
twists and turns, but if you hold on tight and trust the journey, you might just enjoy the ride.
I like that analogy.
Yeah.
And speaking of journeys, let's talk about the changing perception of crypto, particularly in India.
Right.
It's been quite a roller coaster ride here as well.
It has. A few years ago, crypto was seen as this mysterious,
Right.
even shady investment, but things seem to be changing. What's Edel's take on how the perception of crypto is evolving in India? You mentioned earlier that Edel sees parallels between crypto adoption and the early internet. Did he elaborate on how perceptions are shifting here in India?
Yeah, he did. In fact, he showed a fascinating anecdote from a recent Mudrex customer survey. Just 2 years ago, a majority of respondents viewed crypto purely as a short-term gamble. But today,
Yeah.
over 70% now consider it a long-term investment, even a potential part of their retirement planning.
Wow, that's a dramatic shift. What's driving this newfound confidence in crypto as a long-term asset?
Edgel attributes it to 3 key factors. First, increased regulatory clarity. The government's introduction of taxation frameworks and bodies like the FIU has legitimized crypto in the eyes of many Indians.
Right.
It's no longer this nebulous, unregulated space it once was.
So it's like the authorities are finally acknowledging that crypto is here to stay. Instead of dismissing it, they're setting up ground rules, almost like a stamp of legitimacy.
Exactly. And it's not just the regulations themselves, it's what they represent, a move toward mainstream acceptance.
Right.
The second factor Ito highlights is the rapid-fire nature of crypto market cycles.
Yeah.
Unlike traditional markets, which can take decades to cycle through booms and busts, crypto cycles are compressed into a few years.
It's like a crash course in market dynamics, isn't it?
Precisely. While intense, these accelerated cycles have forced investors to become more savvy, more discerning. They've learned to look beyond the hype and focus on the underlying technology and its long-term potential.
Experience, even if it involves some bumps along the way, is a powerful teacher. What's the third factor shaping this shift in perception?
Ideal points to the growing institutional adoption of crypto.
Okay.
It started with companies like Tesla adding Bitcoin to their balance sheets, but has snowballed from there. He even mentioned MasterCard now enabling Bitcoin payments at millions of merchants globally.
Wait, really? So I could theoretically buy groceries with Bitcoin here in India?
That's what Adul suggests. While it's still early days, these mainstream integrations are making crypto harder to ignore. It's becoming increasingly woven into the fabric of the global financial system.
Fascinating. It does feel like the world, even if hesitantly, is waking up to crypto's potential. But this begs the question, why does there seem to be a divide between India's and the US's stance on crypto?
It's a complex issue, but Adul believes India is simply at an earlier stage in the adoption cycle. He highlighted that roughly 50% of U.S. households hold some form of crypto,
Right.
compared to a much smaller percentage in India.
So the US is further along the crypto curve, and their government is responding to the reality on the ground. Their citizens are already engaging with crypto.
Exactly. Public sentiment carries weight. With a larger portion of Americans already invested in crypto, their politicians are more inclined to regulate than to resist.
It's a reminder that technology often outpaces policy. But as crypto gains mainstream traction in India, we can probably expect the government to adapt its approach. Speaking of adaptation, let's talk about a crucial aspect of any investment: security. You mentioned the WazirX hack earlier, a stark reminder that crypto is not without its risks.
Yeah. It's a valid concern and one Adel takes very seriously. He highlighted that the WazirX breach was a sophisticated operation, reportedly carried out by exploiting a vulnerability in how they managed funds.
So how does Mudrex, Adol's platform, approach security differently to prevent such devastating breaches?
Adel emphasized that Mudrex prioritizes a multi-layered security approach.
Okay.
Rather than holding the majority of funds in a single wallet vulnerable to a single point of failure, they distribute funds across multiple accounts held by different institutions.
So spreading the risk, making it much harder for hackers to make off with a significant amount of money, even if they manage to breach one layer of security.
Precisely. It's like having multiple locks on a vault instead of putting all your trust in a single door. But platform security is only half the equation.
Right.
Individual investor awareness is equally crucial.
So what are some common mistakes that make people vulnerable to crypto scams? What steps can our listeners take to protect themselves?
Adol cautions against blindly following investment advice found on platforms like Telegram or WhatsApp. If someone promises astronomical returns, especially on obscure coins you've never heard of, it's usually too good to be true.
That age-old adage holds true, even in the digital age. If it sounds too good to be true, it probably is.
Right. Adol's advice is to be wary of anyone demanding upfront payments or pressuring you to act quickly. Legitimate investments rarely operate under a veil of urgency or guaranteed riches.
Skepticism is our superpower, it seems. Don't jump into anything without doing your homework first. What other red flags should investors be on the lookout for?
Impersonation scams are becoming increasingly common.
Right.
Adol mentioned a surge in cases where scammers impersonate Mudrex representatives, contacting individuals via calls or emails, attempting to trick them into revealing sensitive information.
It's terrifying how convincing these scams can be. Always double-check the source. If you have even a sliver of doubt, reach out to the company directly using official contact details to verify the communication.
Absolutely. And remember, a legitimate platform will never ask you to share your passwords or private keys. That's like giving someone the keys to your house.
Great advice. It sounds like knowledge and awareness are paramount. Stay informed, be cautious, and don't be afraid to ask questions if something feels off.
Couldn't agree more. Your informed skepticism is your best defense.
So as we wrap up our deep dive into the world of crypto with Adil Patel, what are his key takeaways for someone considering taking the plunge?
Adil reminds us that while investing in crypto is legal in India, it's not suitable for everyone.
Right.
However, if you're ready to embark on this journey, his advice is threefold. Start small, invest consistently, and never stop learning.
Start small, be consistent, and never stop learning. Those are words to live by, not just in the world of crypto, but in life in general. It's been a fascinating conversation. We've covered a lot of ground, from demystifying crypto categories to understanding the evolving perceptions and, of course, the paramount importance of security.
It's a testament to how much there is to explore in this space. It's not just about the technology. It's about the people, the trends, and the ever-evolving landscape.
Exactly. And that brings us to our final thought. Edo left us with this. He said, if crypto is indeed the internet of finance, then we need to ask ourselves, what will the internet of the future look like, and how can we position ourselves to benefit from it?
Such a thought-provoking question. If Edel's insights have taught us anything, it's that those who embrace learning, adapt to change, and aren't afraid to explore the unknown are often the ones who thrive in the face of disruption.
So to our listeners, keep your minds open, your curiosity piqued, and maybe, just maybe, you'll be one of the pioneers shaping the internet of tomorrow. Thanks for joining us on this deep dive into the world of cryptocurrency. Until next time, keep exploring.